Okay, my name is Craig Statham. I'm the Maps Reading Room Manager at the National Library of Scotland, and what I'm going to take you through just now is a very abbreviated workshop discussing two of the major aspects of the Maps website. So what I'm going to do now is share my screen, and I'm going to take you to the homepage of the Maps website. So what you see now is the homepage of the Maps website. As you'll see, the URL is up here. So it's maps.nls.uk. And what I'm going to do today is show you two aspects of the website. One is Find by Place, and the other is Geo Reference Maps. So we'll kick off right away and we'll go into Find by Place. There's a help page comes up, but I'm just going to ignore those today, but you feel free to read those when you go in, if it might be helpful. What you can see here is Map of Britain, and it's coloured in red, and a grid here on the left-hand side with drop-down menus and so on. So we're going to talk about this section here with the drop-down menus. The website is quite difficult to use if you're just going in for the first time. I think a lot of people go in thinking they're going to find the specific map they're looking for immediately, and that often doesn't happen, and people get a little frustrated. And what I generally say to people is, look, just play with the website for a couple of hours, get your head around how it all works, and once you've figured it out, it is actually very simple to use. Most of the maps can be found using these two drop-down menus here. So you can see we're in Great Britain Ordnance Survey, but you can jump into town plans, for example. And everything from this first drop-down menu also has a second drop-down menu. So the town plans, you can click on the second drop-down menu and you can choose OS town plans from 1580 to 1940, or sorry, other town plans from 1580 to 1940, or OS town plans from 1847 to 1895. And you'll see there's little marks come up, and those relate to the actual maps. But we're going to go back to the Great Britain Ordnance Survey mapping. And as you can see, Britain here is red. And if I just quickly zoom in, you'll see that actually the red's made up thousands of little boxes. And each of these boxes, which we call bounding boxes, are maps. The lighter a box, the fewer the maps. The darker the box, the more maps are in that particular box. It tends to be that urban areas are quite dark and rural areas are quite light. So somewhere like Edinburgh or Glasgow or Aberdeen, you might click on it on a bounding box and see 8 maps. And in a rural area, you might only find 1 or 2. So I'm going to zoom back out a little bit again and just kind of explain why it's coloured red. The red colour relates to Ordnance Survey 6 inch to the mile. If I was to click on 25 inch to the mile, you'll see that again, we've got a different map up here with a purple background. Or if I was to choose these kind of later Ordnance Survey maps from the 1940s through to the 1960s, again, it comes up a different colour. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the 25 inch to the mile. So we're ready now to use Ordnance Survey maps 25 inch to the mile from the 1850s to the 1960s. And you'll see that there's some areas of Scotland and a few less areas in England and Wales that don't have a map for 25 inch to the mile. That's because the rural areas, if you want to see those areas with a map, you have to go to a different map. Generally 6 inch to the mile is a good one to use. So if we're looking for a place within the UK for 25 inch to the mile that does have a map on it, the best way to do it, well, one of the ways to do it is just to zoom in. I've got a mouse with a roller on it, and I'm just zooming in. Not a particularly effective way to find stuff, but you'll get there eventually if you do it that way. The other way is to use the Gazetteer. So if I type in Perth, for example, and you'll see the list comes up, and Perth and Kinross is up the top. What I would say about the Gazetteer is don't just type in the place you're looking for and then press return, because what will happen is if you type in High Street, you'll end up you'll more than likely end up in the wrong place. So give it a wee pause after you've typed it in, find the one that you're looking for in the list. Mine just happens to be up the top, so I'm going to click on that. And what we're doing now is we're zooming in to Perth and Kinross. There is an additional option up here of world, and the reason we've got that in there is we do have some foreign maps on our website, and we're hoping to increase those quite significantly over the next few years. So currently we have First World War maps on the website. So if you wanted to look for, say, Ypres, you would have to type in, you would have to click on the world maps there, the little button there. But we're using UK just now, so that's fine. So as I said, every one of these boxes relates to a map. So if I wanted to see Perth and this map here, just in the outskirts of Perth, I would click on it, and as you see, a whole bunch of maps come up on the right-hand side of the screen. I think there's about 5 of them there, dating from the 1860s, right through to the 1930s. If you were to click on Edinburgh, or Glasgow, you would probably get more maps than that, almost certainly get more maps than that. But if I want to choose the 1930s map at that point, I simply click on it, and then I can zoom in. And we're not trying to hide anything, we're trying to let you see as much as you possibly can. You can see I've zoomed in to quite a level there, and it's really not pixelating yet. So, you know, we're quite happy for you to have a look at it in great detail. We're not just going to give you a thumbnail and leave you frustrated with that. We'll actually let you zoom into the actual map. But if I zoom into this map and find out that actually the area I want is over to the right here, what I can do is head back out again. I'll just click off this help menu, and I'll move over to the right, and I'll click on this map. And again, I was looking at the 1930s map earlier on, so I'll do that again. I'll just click on the map, and again, we can do that, and we can zoom in. And you can see again the detail. A lot of places are named, Victoria Institute, the streets are named, and so on. If you want to order a map, it's find by place that you want to order it from. A lot of people try and order it from the Geo Reference Mapping, which I'm going to show you in a few minutes, but you can't do that. You've got to order it from find by place. And it's simply a case of clicking on order this map. It's very limited just now because of coronavirus, but in normal times, you would click on that and it would give you various different options, JPEGs, TIFFs, and hard copy maps of various different sizes. A couple of other things on this page that are very useful. Print PDF. So you can zoom in there, and if you want to print a PDF of this particular area, you would simply click that print PDF link. Another very useful thing is if you were looking at that particular area and you wanted to contact the Maps Reading Room and describe that it was this area you were looking at, that would be quite a difficult thing to do. But actually, we've created a way that you can do that quite simply. So you'll see your URL up there, and it ends in an 8-figure number, 82899288 for this particular map. If you click link to this view, you'll see that we've added a number of numbers and letters at the end. It's simply a case of copying that, putting it in an email and sending it to us, and we will be able to open up and see exactly what you have copied. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to head back out and just show you one more thing on these maps, and it is the marker pin. So if I want to look at the area that is the Murray Royal Hospital, I simply click on that area and you'll see that a whole number of maps, dozens, and it can be hundreds depending on where you're looking at, Edinburgh and Glasgow especially. There will be hundreds of maps down this right-hand side that relate to this particular area here. And you can see that each map is highlighted the area that it covers, which is really quite useful. But you can also reduce down the time period. So if we were only looking for post-Second World War maps, you can see there's actually just a handful of maps now that cover this particular area. Okay, so I'm going to head back out now and show you Geo Reference Maps. Now you can click on Geo Reference Maps from here. You can go directly to Geo Reference Maps from Find by Place Maps. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the home page and show you. So to get back to the home page, if you find this link saying Map Images, that will take you back to the home page. So I'll just click on that. As you can see, we're back at the home page. Scroll down a little bit and click on Geo Reference Maps. Now you can see it's different Previously, we had a map of Britain came up that was red, filled with bounding boxes. Now what we've got is an actual map of Britain. And you can see it's actually a number of maps that have been seamed together to create one individual map. And it's really, really useful if you want to scroll around the country without actually having to come out of the map and click on the map next to it and then come out of that map and click on the map next to that. So that's really quite useful. Again, it's the same idea. We've got these drop-down menus that you can use and choose the map that you want to look at. So I'm going to choose a more detailed map. So again, I'll choose 25 inch to mile, and it covers maps from 1892 to 1914. So not everything's georeferenced, but we've georeferenced that period of time, so 1892 to 1914. Again, I'm going to use the Gazetteer, City of Edinburgh, and you'll see it zooms in there. I'm going to scroll into the area I want to look at. So this is an area just down at the bottom of the Royal Mile, if you don't know Edinburgh. And you'll see at the top of the screen there, we've got a cemetery, and here we've got Holyrood Palace, and down here we've got a series of breweries and hospitals. And this map, you can see there's a note down the bottom here, tells you the date of the particular map, and it was revised in 1893 and published in 1896. What georeference mapping does is it lays a map on top of another map. So if I take this little scroller down on the left-hand side of the screen, and if you keep an eye on the cemetery or Holyrood Palace for now, and I'll drag that over to the left, and you can see the background map coming up. So in this case, we've got a satellite image. You can actually change the background map. So I'll change to, let's see, open topo mapping. And again, you can see that the cemetery and the palace don't change in that 100+ years. But if we scroll down just a little bit here, this area here is now the Scottish Parliament, and down here we have the educational building called Our Dynamic Earth. So if I scroll here, you can see vast changes within that particular area, quite near the bottom of the Royal Mile. And there's a couple of other little tools in here that I'm just going to scroll out a little bit and move down to the Meadows in Edinburgh. There's a couple of little tools that you can use. One is a spy, and it's quite a useful tool. And basically what it is, it's just a spyglass that you can move across, and it's quite nice because you can get some context without having to drag this button to the left here. So it's quite a nice little tool. You can change the size of the spyglass as well to make it smaller or larger. Another one that I'm not going to show you is this 3D viewer. Basically what the 3D viewer does is it lays a map on top of the contours. So if you're looking at the Scottish Highlands, for example, you would be able to see the Ben Nevis and various mountains in the Highlands. So we've got that there. There is another tool which doesn't appear to have come up. It's normally at the top of the screen here. So I'm just going to click on Find by Place and then click back into Explore Georeference, and it's appeared there. So we've got these measurement tools, which I find incredibly useful. So you can measure distance. So if I wanted to measure Middle Meadow Walk, I can do that. It's 283 metres long. Or I can measure a particular area of land. So if I take West Meadow Park, very roughly, and you can see how large that area is. So that's quite a useful tool as well. So I'm going to come out of the tools now and go to Map Images. There's one other thing that I forgot to mention when I was in Georeference, so I'm just going to head back in again. We have another little tool that is another gazetteer. So if I was to type in a place name like Ancram Cottage, nothing comes up. But if I go into this OS 6-inch Gazetteer from 1888 to 1913, and type in Ancrum Cottage, you'll see that something comes up. And this is a really, really useful tool. What we did was we went out and crowdsourced people to take this stitched together map from 1888 to 1913 and actually write down the details about every single name on the map. So somebody went in at some point and typed in Ancrum Cottage. So although it can't be found in a modern Gazetteer, it can be found in this older Gazetteer. So it's a really, really useful tool. So I'm going to head out now. That can be found in more detail down at the bottom of our web page in a project called GB 1900. And it's a really, really good project and well worth having a look at. The other thing I would say about the website is this section in the middle of the website here gives details. So if you wanted to know about copyright or reuse, you can click on here. How to order copies is a frequently viewed one. And we have our Maps Twitter account, which is incredibly popular. So go and have a look at that as well. So there's a lot of information in this section on our homepage, so feel free to go in there and have a look. If you have any queries, we are more than happy to answer them. You can contact us at maps@nls.uk and we'll get a reply back to you very, very quickly. But just to reiterate, if you go onto the website, it can be quite difficult for the first time you're using it, so please don't be put off by that. Play around with the maps for a little while. Just enjoy yourself for a couple of hours. Don't expect to find everything right away. And if you are having any problems, just contact us. And enjoy, because it's a fantastic website. And I don't just say that because I work there. I actually use it when I'm doing my own research as well. And I really think you'll enjoy it when you get your head around how it works. Thank you.